Let's welcome to the show Florida State Senator Jay Collins. It's great to see you, Senator Collins. Today, your legislation in Florida passed banning Communist China from owning land and conducting business in the state of Florida. This actually just passed moments ago. It is groundbreaking legislation because we are experiencing such tension with China after the spy balloon and so much more. China's aggression over the course of the last 2.5 years or so under this administration. People are very concerned about China's presence here in the United States. So this legislation in your state, putting some parameters on that, tell us about it.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for having me on here. It's an absolute honor and a privilege. And this is groundbreaking legislation. Senate Bill 264 just passed, 38-0 in the Senate. We're going to be waiting for it to move to the House and then off to the desk of America's governor. This bill is very straightforward. It does a few things. It focuses on critical infrastructure, making sure that countries of concern can't purchase land around those critical pieces of infrastructure. Think airports, spaceports, seaports, gas, power, those critical nodes of infrastructure. It also makes sure that the CCP and the PRC can't buy real property here in the free state of Florida. We got to make sure that we maintain our stability, our strategic interests moving forward. It also makes sure that countries of concern cannot buy ag land. Our ag land is of utmost importance. Farmers are having a hard time right now. We can't continue to cripple our farmers by letting other nations purchase that farmland. It does a couple of other things as well. It makes sure that data being housed outside of our country is only maintained in Canada, the U.S., and our territories for those relevant, sensitive records. And then lastly, I just want to say it's an absolute privilege after 23 years as a Green Beret serving our country to be able to shore up our national defense by making sure that Florida remains free and we protect our critical infrastructure in this great state.
I can imagine what a moment this must be for you. Let me ask you this, because Florida has been an outlier under the leadership of Ron DeSantis, doing quite well in this pandemic era that has stretched on and on, as we discussed in the previous segment. Florida bucked all the trends, and this is a piece of legislation that is also bucking trends. Do you think that other states will start to adopt rules like these, because this is not only important to Florida for national security, it's important for the entire country?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. This is groundbreaking, and this is what right looks like. I like to joke with some of my friends that our #1 export in Florida is freedom. I believe we're leading the way on this. We are setting the tone and setting the standard, and I do expect that others will follow suit. We have to take China at their word. 2017, it was a new era. 2019, they're talking about the long road. We talk about the spy balloons flying over our country. I believe on the way down here, I saw Brian Mast push out that there's proof that China was actually collecting military intelligence in that process. They're telling us what they're doing. They're telegraphing their thought process. We have to shore up our security. We have to protect our citizens here in the state of Florida and across this great country.
Yeah, and of course, the threat that China is posing regarding Taiwan, they've pretty much, they're sort of putting it out there, President Xi, yet for some reason this administration isn't putting China in its place. President Biden hasn't done it since he's been in office. If I may just ask you, why do you think that he's not taking a tougher stance? Some may say the president himself may be compromised because of his son's business dealings overseas in China and Ukraine. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are leadership comes at a cost, and that cost is self-interest. President Biden has failed the leadership from the day he was sworn in and continues to do that here. Let's talk about the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan. Let's talk about the economy he's destroying. Let's talk about his failed negotiations with China. China is stepping forward their rhetoric, pushing forward on the world stage. We are vying for the free world, and we are the leaders of the free world. And it's about time, elections have consequences. In 24, we need to elect a leader who's willing to stand up to China and push them aside and make sure that the United States is a dominant power across the world, because we do stand for freedom.
Florida State Senator Jay Collins, great to have you on the Evening Edit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that